Today, we're going to review the 2024 versions of Shocking Grasp and Spare the Dying. Did they get better? Did they get worse? Let's find out, and let's talk and review. Greetings, YouTube. The Doctor is in. Dr. Urios Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And like I said, today we're going to be looking at two spells. A little bit of changes to both, but they're pretty significant changes. I want to talk about both. I do want to rate them. We'll show you what we rated them originally, what we're rating them now, and what changed. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that like button, and do not forget to leave a comment. Okay, first spell we're going to talk about is Shocking Grasp. Originally, I gave this spell a D+. Not one of my favorite spells, particularly for a wizard, but it is usable by sorcerers, wizards, artificers, and the Ill Rigger, which is new. I think that's an MCDM class. Not my favorite. I don't like having those kinds of spellcasters up front. This is a melee spell attack, and you have to hit. You have advantage on the attack roll if the target is wearing armor made of metal. It does a little bit of damage, and the big thing about this is that the target cannot take reactions until the start of the next turn. It's okay. It's not the best spell. So when I review these spells, I ask a couple of questions. Can I easily cast this? Yeah, it's an action, but am I going to cast this all the time? No. Is it going to have an impact on the build that I have for my character? This one's not really. You could kind of build a build around it, but there are better spells. And is it going to have a major impact on the adventuring party that I'm with? Probably not. So that's kind of why it goes down to the D+ level. The no reactions thing is a good thing. That's a good thing. That keeps this from not being a D or a D-. But there are a few things that you could get. You could manipulate the mitigate reactions for. Now, and of course the damage scales up. Now, the 2024 version of the spell, however, got worse, and we are going to give this one a D-. Okay, and this is why. Still a cantrip. It's still an action. It's still a range of touch. It's still verbal and somatic. It is still a melee spell attack. And so we got lightning springs from you to a creature that you try to touch. Make a melee spell attack. So that's the same here, melee spell attack. On a hit, the target takes a D8 lightning. That hasn't changed. Here, the legacy version's a D8, and this one still scales up as you get into levels to 2D8, 3D8, 4D8. And now, instead of a reaction, it's the target cannot make opportunity attacks. That's it. So they took the reaction part, and reaction is still a thing. Here it is right here. Reaction is still a thing in Dungeons & Dragons 2024. So a reaction is a special action taken in response to a trigger defined in the reaction's description, and an opportunity attack is a reaction, should say is a type of reaction available to all creatures. So there are many other reactions that people have, but this one is an opportunity attack. Readying is a reaction, and if you could stop somebody from readying, or stop them from taking reactions, you could stop them from readying. In addition, the monk now has this great ability called deflect attacks. And when an attack roll hits you and it's bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage, you can take a reaction. So this is lightning damage, so you couldn't do this. But technically, you could stop this monk from using this reaction if you hit it with Shocking Grasp, and then the monk tried to use this reaction later on against like the fighter that's with you. So there's a little bit of utility in the old legacy version of Shocking Grasp, and a lot of that utility got taken away. So again, for instance, the monk's deflect attacks will not work. Spells, here's a list of all the spells that that can be cast with reactions. Absorb elements, Featherfall, shield, silvery barb. So if you soul cage, if you cast, if you actually hit somebody with this spell, they won't be able to cast any of these spells. Shield is a big one, although shield could probably be used to stop you from being hit with this spell in the first place. But shield would go up in case you were getting hit by the fighter that was with you or the paladin. Silvery barbs is a big one. Can't really stop anybody with that. Counterspell could possibly counterspell this. Absorb elements is another one. You get resistance, but you're still going to take some damage and you're going to lose your reaction. Now, in the 2024 version, which I'm giving a D-, it's opportunity attacks, and that's it, not reactions. So now all those spells can be cast. Monks can still use their deflect attacks, and ready actions still go off. So that was one of the main advantages for Shocking Crabs. I don't know why they changed that, but they decided to change that for some odd reason from this no reactions until the start of its next turn to cannot make opportunity attacks until the start of its next turn. And an opportunity attack is a kind of ready action. All right. Next spell we're going to talk about is Spare the Dying. Here's the legacy version. It's a cantrip, 1 action, range of touch. Touch a living creature that has 0 hit points. The creature becomes stable. It should say dying, but this says 0, and this spell has no effect on undead or constructs. Clerics and Artificers got this spell. If you remember the Grave Cleric, in addition, you learn Spell the Dying, which doesn't count against the number of cantrips you know. For you, it has a range of 30 feet and can be cast as a bonus action. So that was one of the reasons to take a Grave Cleric, so that you could cast this at a range with a bonus action instead of an action. I can't remember what I gave this originally, but I think I gave it like a C+, B-. It became much better with the Grave Cleric. Much, much, much better. A solid B at least. Now, the new Spare the Dying, however, got... Oh, I need to... We have the wrong version here. There it is. Okay. The new Spare the Dying, however, got better. And the reason that it got better is it adds range. It's still an action. It's still a cantrip. Still has verbal and somatic. Cleric, Druid, Artificer. The old Spare the Dying was just a Cleric and an Artificer. Now it's Cleric, Druid, Artificer. So Druids can now cast this. And it has a range of 15 feet. So choose a creature within range that has 0 hit points and is not dead. So they added that into this because this just says 0 hit points. Because a dead creature does have 0 hit points. But they added that little phrase in there because that really wasn't clearly defined, let's just say. The creature becomes stable, so that's the outcome. And the range doubles when you go up. So at 5th level, it goes to 30 feet. At 11th level, it goes to 60 feet. And then you could do it all the way at 120 feet. Now, this part here and the range is kind of counter to what the Grave Domain Cleric... The Grave Domain Cleric can still cast Spare the Dying as a bonus action. Now, that's the best part of it. But now, any Cleric, Druid, or Artificer can cast this at a range. They just have to do it as an action. This is pretty good. I'm going to give this one a solid B+. I know people out there are going to go, oh, healing kits and all that, and it's free. Well, this is a free spell. Essentially, it's a cantrip, and you never know when you're going to need to use this in an emergency to keep somebody from dying, so you don't have to cast Revivify or Raise Dead or any of that. You save a lot of party resources that way. And now you can cast it at range, which makes it even better. Again, it's still better with the Grave Cleric because they can do it at range as a bonus action. Grave Clerics are still a thing. But now, and Druids also can cast this spell. So that's why I think it has definitely bumped up to at least a B+. The Grave Domain Cleric is probably an A-. So can I easily cast this? Yeah, it's an action. Would I cast this often? Well, no, I won't cast this often. Hopefully, I won't ever have to cast it. Is it going to be part of a build for me? For a cleric or a druid, I think it's kind of part. It's not integral to that build, but it is something that could be part of the build. And is it going to have an effect on the party? And the answer to that one is absolutely yes. You stop somebody from dying so that you don't have to cast Revivify or Raise Dead or use a whole bunch of diamonds or, and all that. So absolutely, that's why we're giving it a B+, and because it's a bonus action for a Grave Cleric, it probably goes up to an A- there. All right, that is what I have for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.